This video will show you how to replace a front window regulator on a Subaru Outback. This will be mounted inside of your front door. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. We're going to have to remove the door panel. To do this, let's start behind the inside door handle. Looking behind here, you're going to find a small plastic trap door. Just use a small pick to break that free. That exposes a Phillips head screw. Go ahead and remove that. Let's make our way down to the grab handle. Now inside the grab handle, we're continuing with our angled pick. Let's go ahead and lift this tab out of here. Okay, that pushes off to one side. Behind that, there's another Phillips head screw. We're going to remove that next. Now continuing on, we're going to be using a plastic trim tool to separate the door panel from the door itself. Before we start doing that, you want to remember that you do have cables leading to the back side of the inside door handle. They're going to have to be dislodged. We also have a wiring harness along the back side here. Once again, has to be removed. So with that said, we're going to start with our trim tool and we're separating down along the bottom of the door panel. As far as up along the top, it actually has a small hooked area that goes over the door itself. So we're not prying away, we're just gonna lift it up, start pulling away gently, and then like I said, we're gonna start disconnecting some cables and wires. Just gotta try to find a place to get in between here. We're being aware of any pinch points as we continue on. There we are. Now up along the top here, we can see our two cables. For each of these cables, we're going to want to dislodge them from the inside door handle. Generally, just go ahead and make your way underneath here and pry it out of place. If you can't do it by hand, you could use a small prying device. As you can see, that slid out fairly easily. Now we're just taking the end of the cable, we can slide that out as well. Repeat the process for the next one here. That slid right out, easy. Now that we have those cables off, we're going to continue on to our wiring. We have this area right along here. We also have it making our way down along the side and all the way down at the bottom. Now let's start down at the bottom. For this, it has a locking tab right up along the top. We're just gonna go ahead and squeeze that in and pull that out of place. We'll inspect every electrical connector for corrosion, of course. Now as we make our way to this one, we can see the locking tab. Press that in. That looks good. Now we can pivot this as necessary so we can continue on with the next wiring harnesses. Now we can start dealing with these wiring harnesses. We're going for the larger wiring harness first. This is part of the reason why I had us disconnect the other wires first so we can turn this. Now in this area we can see the locking tab. We'll go ahead and push on that and we can separate this. There we are. Let's move along to the next one here, right in the middle. Has a locking tab. Here's our locking tab over here. Should be able to just press that in and pull it out of place. Perfect. And while we have it in this angle, let's just go ahead and have a peek down along this area. No corrosion there. Now that we have the door panel out of the way, we're going to start removing the vapor barrier. Directly in the center of this area, you're going to find that you have two Phillips head screws holding a bracket in place. Go ahead and remove the pair and the bracket. There we are. Go ahead and set that aside. Now let's make our way to the outer corner. Now we have some wiring harnesses that we're going to have to disconnect and dislodge. In this outer corner, we have one connector here. Has a locking tab. Just go ahead and squeeze it in, pull it out of place. We'll use a trim tool to separate this. There we are. We're continuing downward. Before we start removing the vapor barrier, of course we will have to be dislodging these through the ports in the vapor barrier itself as we make our way this way. But let's continue on with a couple more electrical connectors. Down on the speaker, the electrical connector has a locking tab right in this area. Let's go ahead and press that in and we'll pull this up and out of place. We have our next electrical connector up here. This has a locking tab right over on the edge here. And of course, we'll pry this out of place as well. There we are. Now let's start removing that vapor barrier. You can see all of this black adhesive making its way all the way around. This is butyl tape and it's extremely sticky. It will ruin your clothing. Let's try to get this off of here without causing too much damage to that vapor barrier. Just gonna try to pry it away. Once it gets started, typically it's a little easier. Okay, we've got our wiring harness coming out down here. Just keep pulling this away as we continue on. Cables. Now you don't necessarily have to fully remove this vapor barrier, but I typically do. This one out of here. All right, there's that. We'll set it aside for now. Now, with that out of the way, we're focusing along this area. There's a plastic panel that we're going to dislodge. You can see there's a wiring harness attached to it. Go ahead and separate it. Just use my trim tool for that. Now, as you look around this, you're going to find that you have several white tabs. These are pretty much just push pins. We can go ahead and pry this out of place as well. The next thing we have to do is adjust the window height so we can gain access to the hardware holding the window to the window regulator. So for this, I'm going to reattach the window switch wiring harness. For that, it's really just the large connector and then the smallest of the three connectors. We'll just press that one in. Press that one in. Continuing on, we're going to put the key in the on position and carefully power the window up. Like I mentioned, we need to gain access to the hardware. Be extremely careful for any pinch points. We've got the key in the on position. We don't have to have the vehicle running. Now looking in this area, I can see both pieces of mounting hardware, two 10mm mounting bolts. Go ahead and turn off key power and disconnect your switches. That one. Let's remove those two 10mm mounting bolts. When we do this, the next thing we'll have to do is make our way up to the top of the window. We'll start lifting it all the way up towards the top of the door area so it's in the completely closed position, and then we have to hold it there. For me, I'm just going to use some masking tape. We'll be using several strips of tape for this. Obviously, tape is a lot cheaper than glass. Let's look up along this area. We can see that we have two 10mm bolts here and two tabs or ears from the window regulator, which is on inside of the door, and those tabs make their way on the outside. If you make your way all the way down to the bottom area, just below it, there's two more 10mm bolts. Let's start removing all four of these. Now we're going to carefully reach inside the door. Anytime you're inside of the door, just keep in mind that that glass could come down at any time. We obviously want to be extremely careful. Now I'm grabbing onto the window regulator and I'm paying attention to those two tabs. They are getting pressed inside of the door. At this point, this can move around. We have three more 10mm bolts as we make our way in this direction. Now we have those out of there. Let's continue on this way. Now right here we see this small plastic tab protruding outward. This is actually an anchor point for the wiring harness that leads to that window motor. It's on the inside of the door. You could carefully reach inside this port and attempt to remove it. Typically, I like to dislodge this. I'm going to take the entire window motor and regulator assembly, bring it towards this port so I can easily gain access to that connector. This has two locking tabs. I can use my trim tool because it's what I have in my hand. We can see one of them right up along the top area here. The next one's going to be down and diagonal from it. So I'm just going to get that bottom one first. I'm pressing it up and in, applying light pressure, and now along the top area here. And we can force that through. We can see these ears. I'm reaching inside, I'm going to start sliding the window motor so that dislodges these, and I'm bringing the entire thing up into this area. Now obviously you want to make sure that the window motor does not fall down and potentially cause any damage to anything inside the door, such as the speaker. It does have a locking tab. It's fairly difficult to see from your angle, but it's just on the forward side here. Squeeze it in and dislodge this. Now we can start removing the window regulator with motor assembly. There it is, friend. Prior to installing any brand new part, just clean and inspect all the mounting areas, confirming nothing's rotted, weak, or damaged. Let's get ready to install our window regulator with motor assembly. As we bring this into the door, we're going to make our way carefully all the way up through this area, to this point. We'll continue on with our electrical connector. Once we have that plugged in, we'll start bringing everything back down into its original position. Now that locking tab faces inboard. Line it up, press it in. After an audible click, we'll just make sure that is secured. We'll start bringing it down into the proper position. We have the rectangular ports for each one of our ears. There's one. Now take your time on this portion. We'll start in each of those three mounting screws. Now we'll start in all three of our mounting bolts. Now, before we go any further with the window regulator itself, let's make sure we secure that wiring harness. That goes through this oval port right here. Press it in, listen for an audible click, and make sure it's secure. Now it's time for the rest of that regulator. I'll take hold of it inside the door, and I'm going to attempt to align the upper portion first. We have those two hooked areas that slide into these ports. Now we've got those ears in place, let's continue on with the mounting bolts. They're started in, let's snug them up. Now we're going to carefully start bringing the window down into the proper position. This is the area that it needs to align with. Make sure you're holding onto the window while you continue on removing its support. Start lowering this down. Once you have it aligned down here, we have our two 10mm mounting bolts. When I'm tightening these, I like to use a hand tool. Okay, right there's bottomed out. Just gonna take it a tiny bit further here. We don't want to break anything, but you do want to make sure it's secured in place. Okay, right there's bottomed out. Just a tiny bit further again. Now the next thing we want to do is test the functionality. We want to make sure nothing's inside the door, and we're going to re-secure our electrical wiring harnesses leading to the window switch. I'm going to go with the small one first. We'll have to flex this door panel. I'm looking at it from the bottom right now. Let's get this next one in here. Now we do not need to reconnect this one all the way down at the far side. Let's temporarily hang this door panel, and we're going to test the functionality. Now I've got the key in the on position. We're going to test the functionality of the window motor and the window regulator. We also want to reset the auto function on our switch assembly here. So for this, I have the key in the on position, I'm at the window switch, and I'm going to hold it all the way down for approximately 5 seconds once it reaches the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now let's hold it up. Once it reaches the top, we're also going to hold it for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's go ahead and power this down. And of course, back up. Now, assuming that functions as it should, go ahead and turn off key power and we'll continue on. Now we've tested the functionality and confirmed that nothing is inside of the door. Let's continue on with our lower plastic panel. Just go ahead and line up all of your push pins with their ports and press it into position. Let's continue on to this wiring harness. We're just going to take hold of that, line it up, and press that in as well. Now it's time for the vapor barrier next. As far as the vapor barrier, Let's start putting it in position along the top first. We're only lightly putting it into position. We don't need to fully press it in. Now continuing on, we have several cables and wiring harnesses that we need to deal with. Each of them makes its way through its corresponding port on the vapor barrier. We'll start with our cables. Just flex those as necessary. We should be able to bring them into position. As I mentioned, we left this nice and loose so we can continue on here. Now we have wiring down along this area. That's going to slide through this port. As we make our way towards the center, we have the area for several wiring harnesses, electrical connectors. Next slot, a couple more wiring harnesses here. Those just slide right through. You know what to do. And now at the very end here, this is going to go through this slot right along here. And we'll just get this all up in position. Double check to make sure all of your wiring harnesses are through the vapor barrier as they need to be. Assuming that looks good, we'll continue on with our installation process. Now it's time for our electrical connectors. We're going to start up in the upper corner here. Now this does have a mounting point on the inboard side. We want this to slide onto its point that's attached to the door itself. Line it up, we'll press it on there. This should just slide. Can be a little difficult to get it lined up. Once you have that in place, let's secure the rest of that electrical connector. Line them up, press them together. Audible click there, double check, make sure it's secured in place. Continuing down to the speaker next. Press that in as well. Now we're making our way all the way over towards the far side, close to the door latch. We have our electrical connector here. Line that up, press it in. Audible click there. A light tug. We're going to secure the wiring harness as well. There we are. Now in the center, we have the bracket for our door panel. 2 Phillips head screws. Let's go ahead and start one through. We're going to align these with the mounting points on the door itself. Go ahead and start them in. Once they're both started in, go ahead and snug it up. Make sure it's secured in place. Prior to bringing this over towards the door, we just want to pay attention to the door panel mounting points. There's several plastic push tabs making their way all the way around the door panel. If any of them are missing, they're probably stuck in the door. Remove them and install them in the door panel. Now we've made our way over towards the door. Let's start with our electrical connectors in the center. We have the mirror switch and of course our window and door lock switches. Just going to line this up, press it in. After an audible click, just a light tug confirming it's secured in place. Now the middle connector is going to be the smaller of the 3 connectors, so we're going to line that up, start that one in next. It's very difficult to see upside down here. Should be able to feel around. Now that we have that one in, let's continue on to the smaller connector. That's going to go in the center here. The locking tab faces towards where the door would be. Audible click from that. For the larger connector, we have our locking tab. That faces towards the door panel. Make our way up here next. All the way down towards the bottom next. Locking tab faces up for this. Make sure that we have this tucked upward so it's not getting caught. Now that we have all the wires connected, let's continue on with our cables. We'll use the one with the black connector at the top there, or adapter. We're going to take that, slide it into the door handle down along the bottom there. Now I'm going to pivot this in. We can see a groove where it needs to fit. Press it in, listen for a click. After that audible click, you need to give it a tug confirming it's secured. You don't want this falling out. Continue on, same process for the door lock next. This one's the blue connector up along the top. Line it up, press it in. Audible click, double check. Let's get this door panel in place. Now, as far as getting this door panel in place, we're going to start coming in at an angle. We want the top coming in first, and we're coming in nice and high. Along the top of the door panel, there's a hooked ridge. That slides over the door itself. Line it up, slide it down. A couple light taps confirming it's properly down, and now we're focusing along the door panel and the door itself. You remember those plastic push clips I mentioned? They need to align with their corresponding ports, and we'll drive this into position. We're just double checking all the way down the line here. Press it in, tap it to lock it in. We have the door panel pressed into position. Of course, now we're going to continue on with securing it with our 2 Phillips head screws. Now let's close that plastic trap door. Let's move up to our inside door handle. We've got our screw for inside the door handle. Make sure that's tight as well and protected. Okay, friend, we finished our installation and we've tested the functionality. Go ahead and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.